Hey everyone, welcome back to Waze Live. We're going to give a few minutes for everyone to join. It's just 2 o'clock now, so we will be back in a few minutes. Thanks for your patience. Hey everyone, for those who just joined, we're just going to give a few more minutes for everyone to log in and get on board. So we'll probably start around 2:05. Thanks again for waiting. All right. Thanks again for waiting. We're ready to get started. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining today. Hopefully your week's going well. As you know, this is our fall edition of Waze Live, and so I'll let Justin run through the agenda of what we're going to be talking about today. But we're really excited to share some holiday insights with you all, and thank you for joining. Also, stay tuned until the end. We'll be talking more about our partners program and how you can get fun swag like this cool Waze sweater I'm wearing. So stay tuned.
All right, here we go. So welcome everybody. My name is Justin Nabazna. I'm here with Taylor. So as you know, we're on the agency team here at Waze and part of the agency partner program here. So I know if some of you joined the summer program when we were doing our summer edition, we were talking about road trips and vacations and how to get in front of drivers when they're on the road, especially with QSR and restaurants and things like that. Well, now we're shifting focus from people spending money on tourism and things like that to now Q4 holiday season, and retail is really the big one. That doesn't mean that QSR and restaurants are not important. It just means that for the focus of our fall edition, we're going to be focusing on the retail space. And it's crazy to think that, a week ago we're talking about sipping margaritas, and now all of a sudden we're talking about Christmas and winter. Not ready for it, but it's coming, so we might as well prep.
And for anyone who's listening who's here in New York, the weather changed like with the drop of a hat this week. So we're all sitting here in our sweaters in the office. Hopefully, wherever you are, it's a little bit warmer.
And hopefully, if you're in the mid-Atlantic region, you are safe from Hurricane Florence. So if not, you're hunkering down for one heck of an hour. So let's give you that. As we go through this, if you want, please, we encourage you to ask questions in the dory on the right side of your screen. We'll answer those live. So as they come in, we'll answer them. So if you have questions about a certain slide or a certain data point, please let us know. All right, so here we go. Let's get into some holiday insights. So first off, why are we doing this for Waze? I know that if you've been here for the summer edition and now you're here if you're new to the fall edition, we do this for a few different reasons. Number one reason is we have access to a lot of data. Right, so we have 100 million drivers globally. We have 28 million of those in the United States alone, and they drive on average in the U.S. about 6 billion miles a month. So we have a lot of insights on what people are doing on the road, what they like to do to work, coming home from work on the weekends, and things like that. And we want to share them with you so you can obviously share them with your clients. So the goals of today are really understanding the holiday insights and how they affect Wazers in particular. Obviously, understanding how our advertising can help your clients reach their KPIs in Q4. And then obviously, at the end, we'll talk about our partner program and how you can partner with Waze to help benefit all of your clients and obviously your agencies going forward. All right, so before we get into some of the insights, I got to do a few slides about Waze. If you've been here for the other editions, these are going to be redundant, but there's always people that come on and say, hey, what is Waze? We got this thing, but we don't really understand what Waze actually is. So Waze is the world's largest community-based navigation app. So when you get on the road and need to get somewhere, it's really Google Maps, it's Waze, and there's Apple Maps. So Google actually owns Waze, which is kind of interesting. And people always ask, hey, why is there two different platforms within Google? Why don't you just combine them and create one awesome navigation app? And the reason is because of the use cases of both apps. So where Google is your all-encompassing mapping platform for Google Maps, where you can kind of look at a vacation hotel that you're gonna go to in a few weeks. You can kind of look at restaurants. You can look at menus. Waze is strictly navigation. And the second thing is Waze is a social platform. So our Wazers, or our users on Waze, can actually input data into the map in real time, whether that's traffic, police, construction, and things like that. What this allows is our map to update very fast. And because of that, the more users we have, the more data gets input into the map, the better our map gets, and the more users that want to join Waze. So Google has kept us separate because they love the fact that we have exponential user growth and we have this social experience on our map, but they don't want people plugging data into the Google mapping platform, and rightfully so. So going forward, we will be separate, even though we are under the Google umbrella, and we partner closely with our Google partners, but Waze is a separate platform. So when you look at our customer base and Waze in the actual digital landscape, and then just in the overall national landscape in the U.S., this is U.S. specific, so sorry to the people outside the U.S. listening right now, but how relevant is Waze, right? So Forbes does a top 50 most relevant brands survey list every Q4. And last Q4, Waze was actually scored 35th on the list. And when we look at relevant brands, it really comes down to three things. One, how useful is it? So how useful is it to the users? Two, how many users actually love the app versus how many users don't really care about the app. And you can see that one, obviously Waze is extremely useful because we're saving people time and traffic. And two, everyone loves the app that uses it because otherwise they would obviously go to one of the other competitors. And then third, how innovative is the company? And Waze is actually doing a lot of cool, innovative things, which I encourage you to check out online, such as our Connected Cities program and our new carpooling application that we have in various states in the U.S. So check those out in your spare time as well. Now, what's important to know about this slide is that you won't see any other social applications or any other native apps on the actual top 50. And other than Facebook, Waze is actually the second most used application on a person's phone. And when we look at how often our users are actually using the app, they're using it over almost 10 hours a month. So obviously there's different use cases for Facebook and Waze, where Facebook you're going on probably 100 times a day for 20, 30 seconds. Waze you're probably on 2 to 3 times a day for 20 to 30 minutes, right? And so we have 28 million users in the US using it for 10 hours a day. And we have a very engaged audience. So as I was saying, our audience isn't just using the app in the background. They're plugging data into the map. They're talking about traffic. They're conversing with each other, and they're obviously very attentive to what they're doing. So when you're looking at our user base, it's not just, hey, maybe they're going to be looking at these ads, or maybe they're going to be using our application. They love using it, and they love engaging with the app and with other users on the platform. All right, so that's a little bit about Waze. If you didn't know Waze, now you kind of got a little bit of an overview. So let's get into some insights. So how we talk about insights here is that we have about 4 or 5 significant insights, and I want to go through the first slide of every insight will kind of be a general holiday slide about drivers and users during the holiday season, and then we'll talk about a slide where it talks about Waze, it's Waze specific and how it's beneficial to Wazers on the actual platform. So when you're looking at this slide, you can see some general stats, which some of you may have seen before, some of you may have not, but it's always good to kind of just rehash these things in the sense that Q4 of this year is going to be the highest spending holiday season in recorded history. MasterCard, if you look at that stat, says that there was an $814 billion holiday season last year, and that was a 5% increase from the year before. Well, they're predicting a 7% increase this year in 2018. And of that, you can see that 70% of shoppers will be shopping in store. Now, does this mean that they're not shopping on Amazon? Absolutely not, guys. We are very realistic. We understand that e-commerce and Amazon dominates the landscape. But what we're trying to say here is that in-store shopping is still a very important piece of the holiday season. And if you have clients with brick and mortars, you probably are hearing this as well, as they're telling you, like, how do we get more people in store? How do we measure it? How do we get more traffic? And we'll talk a little bit about that today as well. And then finally, the last thing is the omni-channel shopper who's spending $82 more than a regular online-only shopper. And this is obviously important in the sense that when you're talking about the whole overall digital strategy for your clients, we understand that there's Google, there's Facebook, there's all these things, but Waze should be a piece of that in this omni-channel world. So what does that mean for advertising on Waze and Waze itself? Consumers are open to new brands. So back in 5-10 years ago, consumers had their brands that they loved and they went to those locations and they shopped there. Now, with all the information in the micro moment world where you can kind of see everything on your cell phone, people are undecided. And at Google, we believe in this micro moment narrative where you could kind of target anybody in that moment of need, whether they're saying, hey, I need sneakers, where's the closest retailer? We are able to target them on the mobile phone. So where does Waze fit into this path to purchase? Well, we don't fit in on the mobile phone when it comes to people searching for stuff on Google or when they're in store searching for product reviews and price comparisons. Where Waze captures drivers in the path to purchase, or excuse me, users, is when they're driving from point A to point B. And the beauty of this is Waze is actually the only digital player that could actually do this in real time. Other than billboards, out of home, and radio, Waze is the only player that could target drivers. And that's where we fit into this digital path to purchase, especially with the overall Google landscape. So what does this mean to you guys? Well, it means that if three out of four drivers are willing to buy a gift from a new retailer and 61% are open to new retailers during the holiday season, targeting them on the road is going to be another beneficial KPI for your clients, and getting them to maybe change directions or getting some sort of promotion out there in front of them while they're driving is going to be extremely important, especially because the average American drives or spends time in their car on average for over 8 work weeks a year. So that's a lot of time they spend in their car every year. And especially during the holiday season when they're out and about, you're going to Christmas parties, you're going, to maybe your kid's Christmas pageant, whatever it is, you're driving around. If you're using Waze, you want to get promotions in front of these people and their clients. So general insight number 2, consumers recognize the benefits of in-store shopping. So even though we understand that in the age of Amazon and e-commerce, a lot of people are buying online, when you look at the most important factors in gift buying, so this is strictly gift buying considerations, location is actually the third most important factor. So as you can see here at the bottom, there is online orders, there is free delivery. Those things are not as important to consumers as location. And what does this mean to Waze? It's very important because Wazers love to shop in store, right? So as you're talking about general users in the U.S. And you're talking about Wazers, we're talking about 2 different types of people, right? Wazers love to drive. So they use Waze because they're driving a lot, they're trying to outsmart traffic, they're in their cars a lot, and they're making a lot of pit stops. This is different than the overall population. So when you're talking about these 28 million people that you're targeting on Waze, they're people that are driving, and they're driving to these brick and mortar locations. And you can see here that just under half of Wazers plan to do over 50% of their shopping in store. So if you have clients with brick and mortars that are trying to get people into their store, Waze is a great fit for those clients. The second thing that's kind of important is that not only are they out and about, but they're willing to go the extra mile for a compelling offer or sale. So if you look here, 38% of Wazers are willing to drive up to 25 miles for holiday offers. That is crazy. I live in New York City. I am not willing to walk more than 2 blocks for an offer. This is a crazy stat. But I will say, if during the holidays only, this is only during the holidays, if I saw a compelling sale for something that was 10 miles away, that I could probably knock out like 3 or 4 gifts for my family in one spot, I would 100% borrow a car and drive out there and try to get those gifts. To minimize the amount of places I have to go is crucial. And I think other Wazers obviously feel the same way. So this is an important stat because this is just showing that, yes, it is important. Wazers are going in store, but also if you have a compelling offer or promotion on the actual app, that people will be willing to drive to those locations for that offer. All right, general insight number 3, shopping to the last minute. Okay, so I bet if we were sitting in a classroom setting and not doing a webinar, and I asked anybody to raise their hand for if you were a customer that either waits to the last minute in the sense of you have to do rush delivery or you have to run out to the mall on the day before Christmas Eve to get a gift, 75% of the people will raise their hand. And the other people either were ashamed to and they don't raise their hand, or those are the 25% of the people that actually do their shopping on like Black Friday or the weeks leading up, which those people, I applaud you. I've been trying to do that my entire life, and every year I fail at doing it. And the reason I say this is because if you can't get it online, right, and you lose out on the delivery, you have to go to a store. So the shopping in the last minute is going to be very important for the strategy in the long run when we talk about how are we going to reach these people on the go leading up to the holiday itself. And how does it affect Wazers? Well, good news for everybody here. Wazers do both. They shop in advance, and half of them actually shop the days leading up to Christmas. So this is going to be important when we talk about like, hey, what type of strategy should I use on Waze for Q4? Well, there should be some sort of strategy throughout the entire holiday season, but also heavy ups during the Black Fridays of the world, and then obviously during that last week leading up to Christmas when the whole world's in a frenzy trying to figure out their last minute shopping, going anywhere that will actually give them a gift. And when we look at driving more traffic, like as Wazers are flocking to these stores, you can see here, this is just showing the bumps in navigations to mass retailers, so shopping centers. And there's a 404% increase in navigations to shopping centers on Black Friday. And it was just as high the days leading up to Christmas than there is the rest of the year. So when we talk about these heavy ups and we talk about really investing in where these people are, they're in their cars on the road trying to find Christmas gifts. Black Friday especially, obviously a lot of the deals are in store, with Cyber Monday being the e-commerce one. And then leading up to Christmas when deliveries are no longer available and you screwed up and you forgot to get your presents for your family and you're out there running around, you'll do pretty much anything, whether it's a coupon, closest store, whatever it is, to get some sort of gift. These are the type of people that we're talking about here, which is sadly, I would say 50% of the U.S. population. There's actually a study that said that 126 million Americans save shopping to the Saturday before Christmas. It's crazy. So upticks in traffic. This is just showing a little data stats for you guys on where the upticks really are. This is Black Friday relative to the average workday. So obviously shopping centers are the big one, but you could also see fashion, department stores, personal care, all big increases in navigations throughout. Furniture and home stores is a small increase. And the reason actually is because their normal weekend or average day navigations are extremely high. So if you're in the furniture and home store vertical, or you have clients there, I should say, that performs very well all year. And it doesn't stop performing during Q4. It just increases even more. So finishing off there, what do we learn about Holiday Insights and how it affects Waze? Obviously, a few things, right? Number one is the brand loyalty factor is starting to go away, and people are willing to try out different brands. So what does that mean? It means if your brand is on the map and people are in their cars, you have the potential to sway them to your businesses, or at least make them aware of some sort of offer that you have for your clients. Number two, in-store is still very much a thing during the holidays, and especially for Wazers, where 45% of us are willing to spend at least 50% of our time in store versus online, and 38% of us are willing to drive at least 25 miles out of the way for a very compelling offer or promotion. And then finally, the last thing is having to be present leading up to the entire holiday season. So this isn't just a, hey, let's do a Black Friday blitz. This is, we have to be present all the way through leading up to Black Friday, with a heavy up on Black Friday, and then obviously present all the way up through Christmas and a heavy up on Christmas. And we can get into the actual campaign launching a little later, but first I'm going to turn it back over to Taylor to talk a little bit about Waze Local.
Thanks, Justin. So before we jump into the holiday strategies, as Justin mentioned, or how to really approach that planning, just want to give everyone a brief refresher on, what Waze Local is. So our ads, how to think about our ads when you're talking to your clients and trying to uncover which clients might be a good fit, and then also, our ad formats. And so for some of you, I'm sure you're really familiar. For the agencies we already work with, always good to go over it again. And then for those that are newer to Waze and on this live stream, please feel free to chime in and ask questions on the chat on the side of the screen, and we'll answer as we go. And so when you're thinking about Waze and kind of where it fits in the media mix and how to think about it, we talk about Waze a lot as digital out of home, and really specifically as billboards with a digital backbone. And if you think about that for a moment, kind of along the customer journey, and when customers are interacting with their clients' brands, really Waze ads are kind of capturing this moment when drivers are on the go and they're in that transition point and close to your clients' locations. And so for a long time, Google's been really great at reaching people, let's say at point A, right? So when they're at home, they're doing research, maybe they're on their couch, and marketers have been great at kind of capturing this audience when they're looking for what they might interact with or where they might travel when they're on the go. And then Google's got a lot better as well at reaching people when they're at point B, right? So when they arrive to the store, maybe they're in the store, they're doing price comparisons, they're looking at product reviews, trying to make that decision. But for a long time, we've really struggled with kind of reaching that audience and those consumers when they're in that transition point from A to B. And for a long time, marketers have really relied on radio and billboards to talk to this audience. And that's where Waze really comes in and takes this idea of a traditional billboard and actually brings it to the digital screen and makes it kind of mobile first and native in-app ad, really interrupting this traditional idea of billboards. And because it's digital, sort of add in that layer of pizzazz, and we're able to report on a lot more in terms of who's seeing the ad and the actions that they're taking and if they're going to the store from the ads itself. And so when you think about where Waze really fits in, it's in that space and kind of complementary to these other traditional strategies or branding and awareness strategies that your clients might have. Almost thinking about it in a similar mindset of what YouTube ads really did to TV and bringing it to the digital sphere. And so we'll talk about the ways that we do that now and across our 3 ad formats. And I'm sure if you all drive with Waze, you've seen these before. So we have our branded pins, our zero-speed takeovers, and our branded search. And I'll walk through each of them now in more detail. The branded pin is going to be your client's location pinned on the map where the store actually is, so that as someone's driving along, they can see that that store is there, become familiar with the locations in their surroundings, almost thinking about the branded pin as a digital store sign. And when we think about holiday, you know, some of our clients get really creative with the brand logo that they display on the pin and use holiday colors or switch it up to make things interesting for that time of year. I'm just going to pause. I see some questions coming in, so we're going to read through those quickly. Sarah Waters, excited to learn more about Waze. Thanks so much. We're glad that you're tuned in. So Thanks for listening. Josh, is there a place for performance-based campaigns here? Do you have any examples of conversion-focused campaigns? Yeah, Josh, that's a great question. A lot of what we measure on Waze is branding, like I mentioned, or sort of that awareness piece through our ad formats. But actually, a lot of what we track tells a greater attribution story. And one of our most valuable metrics, and in a few slides I'll actually get through what those metrics are that we track, is navigations. And so we're actually able to measure how many people are clicking on the Drive There button. And I'll just switch to the next slide so you can see what that looks like from the takeover, from the pin, or from the search, and navigate to your client's store. So we can tell a really strong story there. And happy to chat more about what those metrics look like afterwards if you want. Can we get an estimate of Wazers in a given geo? Definitely. So we are able to share information on what our top metros are and kind of where we have most Wazers. And if you have specific cities or DMAs you want to learn about, we'll be more than happy to share those afterwards. So just let us know. At the end of the presentation, on the final slide, we'll be giving our contact information so you can follow up afterwards. And for your specifics clients information, we're actually able to run sort of inventory estimates of how many Wazers could see your ads actually right there where their locations are placed. So by all means, we can help out. Bunch more questions coming through.
Take the next one here. Gary, distractions while driving is a potential safety issue. How will Waze address potential safety problems? Gary, great question. So first thing is that all of Waze ads are approved by the Highway and Safety Administration. So we work closely with them to ensure that it is not a safety issue. And what that means is Waze is actually designed to be placed, the mobile phone placed on your dashboard. So when you're looking at it, it's no different than looking at the time on the clock or the radio to see a branded pin. And the takeovers, which Taylor will get into in a second, only show up when you're at a complete stop for 4 seconds or more. So when you think about reading ads, the only times ads that are actually you're able to read right from the Waze platform are only showing up when you're at a complete stop. Then once you continue driving, those ads go away. If you click on a pin, to get more information. The Highway and Safety Administration sees that as no different than clicking on the radio to change the channel or anything like that. So we are very safety conscious here at Waze to ensure that the drivers are obviously safety first.
Yeah, great question. And Josh, yeah, I mean, looking at your question about tracking kind of those offline sales, a lot of our clients have their own measurement systems in place to actually track what that conversion looks like in the store level. But if your client knows kind of like the value of a customer, we can look at how many navigations are being driven, kind of like that cost per nav, and then compare that to what a customer is worth to that client. And if it's higher than kind of what that navigation costed them, then you can tell an ROI story there. And Javier, in terms of serving ads on Waze, I mean, that's what we're here for today. So we can definitely help out. And like I mentioned at the end of the call, we'll be giving you contact information and email address to reach out to. And we can definitely help you get started and set up. And in the meantime, everyone can always find out more information on our website as well, which is just waze.com/business. So I'm going to hop back into our ad formats here, and then please keep the questions coming, and we'll answer them as we go. So the zero speed takeover works exactly how the name really sounds. When a driver is at a complete stop, so again, per the safety question, when the vehicle has stopped moving, so maybe the driver's in traffic, they're at a red light, they're at a stop sign, this ad, really kind of like that billboard ad that I was talking about before, takes over the top of a driver's screen and tells a bigger story with a clear call to action. So this drive there button that if the driver wants, they can click on and navigate right to the store. We also have different options of call to actions here. And so drive there is our most common, of course, given the nature of our app, and the most successful, but brands without physical locations or who want to call attention maybe before a Black Friday sale leading up to it can use a call to action like a save for later or a save offer, and we can play around with that here. But really, that's going to give drivers more information about what the message that you're actually trying to convey. So especially if you're running holiday offers or promos, this is the ad format that's really going to drive that awareness. And this next slide here just shows kind of what that user flow looks like, so that when a driver clicks on that drive there button, there's almost a two-step verification process, really making sure that that's what the driver intended to press. And it's when they press that go button that the navigation will begin, and that we will track that navigation. I see that Ryan chimed in with a question about Waze location data and different audiences. So we definitely have different layers of targeting that we can add into campaigns based on who that person is. Most of our targeting on Waze is really around the context of the drive, right? So where the person is, what time of day it is, kind of really contextual ads. But we are able now, and this is kind of a recent update, to add in layers of targeting based on age and gender, and we can share what our demographics are with you as well afterwards. Thanks for that question. This slide just gives a look at the different types of creative that agencies are able to utilize. So this custom creative for those agencies who have been working with us for a while will be familiar with both the standard and the custom, which we launched in the spring, a richer creative, a more premium looking ad format. And so for some of our preferred partner agencies and kind of those bigger campaigns with higher budgets, they're able to utilize both of these creatives and test them both out. So really exciting there. The final ad format that I'll touch on now is promoted search. I'm sure everyone's familiar with search. On Waze, it's a little bit different than how you might traditionally think about search. Because Waze is a navigation app, often drivers already know where they're heading to. They just want to know maybe the closest one to them. So on Waze, when your client's promoted search will come up as if the driver is searching for their brand name or their location name or anything in the category. And interestingly enough, often what we see is navigations from search will increase over time. The longer a brand is on the map, usually about that 3-4 month mark, we'll see those navigations kind of start to upticks because the drivers are more familiar with that brand and it's more top of mind for when they do have that moment of need. This slide is just a great stat to share with your clients who are wondering, what impact do our ads really have? Do they really work? And kind of what can I expect when I start Waze ads? We did a study at the end of last year of over 1,000 advertisers to look at navigations to their business when they started advertising on Waze versus navigations before they were advertising on Waze. And we saw overall over a 20% increase in navigations to those brands' locations when they started advertising. So again, this will help you kind of share with your clients what kind of uptick they can expect when they start advertising on Waze. And I know there's been a few questions about what we track on Waze, what kind of metrics will you be able to report on from your campaigns to share back with your clients. And this just gives you a snapshot. Obviously, the key metrics are impressions and then those navigations that I was touching on, and then clicks and engagements with the ad itself. But also digging a little bit deeper there with some of the other call to action. So how many people are saving your ads if we're using a save for later call to action? How many people are then going into their Waze inbox and accessing it? And for those agencies we already work with, you'll be super familiar and pros at our dashboard and the ins and the outs of looking at reports and pulling insights for your clients. But for those who aren't familiar with Waze campaigns, all of our agencies get a login to our Waze dashboard where you'll actually be able to view all of your metrics and reporting in real time and, filter across the different clients that work with your agency that have campaigns on Waze and, pull some more advanced insights like the navigation rate and the click-through rate, but super intuitive dashboard, and everyone there will get a login on that. So thanks for bearing with me for those who are already familiar with their ad formats on just kind of that recap. And I'm going to pass it back to Justin now to talk about actual holiday campaign recommendations and what some of these might look like for your clients today.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. Appreciate it. That was an excellent recap of our ad formats.
Thank you, Justin.
So looking at holiday campaign recommendations, guys, we're going to keep this very high level. Obviously, there's a lot of different verticals. There's a lot of different ways we can go about this. So this is going to be a very general way of looking at how we set up campaigns on Waze. And then if you have questions about specific clients or verticals and how they go about Q4, that's when you could we'll get on the phone with you after this call. Like, we'll set up some time and we'll discuss those specifically. So this is going to be, again, high level. But before I get into that, we got a question from Eddie here. As a physical store is a must for Waze campaigns, or maybe can you share an example of an e-commerce that only works online? Eddie, great question. So physical stores is not the only example. So we do a lot of e-commerce work, and how it works is instead of that call to action being drive there, which you see in a lot of our ads, the call to action would change to save for later or save offer. And then what happens is, so say you have an ad for an e-commerce site, it says, hey, 30% off this site, you can save for later. So then when someone's driving, they click save for later, they continue their drive. When they finish their drive, they can then go to their Waze inbox where that offer will be saved. When they go to their Waze inbox, it can connect them to a link to your website with that, discount code or whatever it may be. And then people can go on your website from there when they're not actually driving in the car. So that's an example of how we work with e-commerce companies or companies that are trying to do a different call to action than just driving people to brick and mortars. And it works really well with a lot of different verticals and obviously with just e-commerce in general. If you have any follow-ups with that, Eddie, that are general, feel free to shoot them in here. Otherwise, we could obviously happily get on a call and I could discuss a few in-depth examples for you as well. All right, here we go. So holidays with Waze. Pretty much everything on this slide I covered during our holiday insights. Bottom line is we're reaching high value customers on Waze. How are we going to do it, right? How do we set up a campaign? So when we talk about taking Wazers from discovery to purchase, right? So most of the time, these Wazers are obviously on Google, they're on Facebook, they're looking at ads from your clients in different ways. No pun intended there. But when they're on the road, they really are concentrating on driving and you have the chance to kind of take over the entire phone with these billboard ads or takeovers. So when you're doing that, it's important to get a meaningful message or promotion in front of them so they remember it. They may not always drive there from the ad, but they will remember the brand and that there's a promotional offer available, and then they could go there during that moment of need, maybe on a Saturday when they want to drive to a location, or they could do it online. So when we look at making sure we're always on, we talk about turning the lights on. We want to make sure your brand's always present on the road during the holiday season. And when I talked earlier about some of the insights, we talked about drivers that obviously do their shopping early, and we talked about people that wait to the last minute. Either way, you don't want to wait to the last minute to get an offer out there in front of people, right? So when we're talking about people on the road, you want to make sure that you have your store locations pinned on the map, so the brand logos and locations are available to all these Wazers, and you want to make sure you can get some sort of brand messaging out there right off the bat. So this example right here is just an example from the Gap where they're saying, hey, holiday every day. We have some amazing offers and presents at the Gap. Come on in, right? Simple branded messaging for those weeks leading up to kind of the big heavy pushes. And I'll show you the difference between the Gap when they had the actual heavy ups in a moment. But this is what an always on takeover would look like if it's before the actual push. And when we talk about pushes, this is kind of what a plan would look like in terms of what the consumer is doing, right? You're looking at October, early November, you're building awareness of your brands and your locations. So when we talk about, if you go to the Gap, Gap's got pins on all their locations in October, November. They have that takeover messaging available so people, when they're driving, know, hey, there's offers at the Gap, there's promotions at the Gap, I know where the locations are, and this is going well. Black Friday comes, you heavy up. So then this is when you deliver maybe a different creative with some sort of real promotion, coupon or something for them to actually entice to actually drive there during this actual Black Friday / Saturday sales. Heavy weekend shopping continues and starts. This is when you want to double down with your awareness play or your promotions. It's totally up to the client if they want to deliver promotions all the way through the Christmas season. We see some clients that want to deliver one promotion all the way through. Some clients want to switch the promotions out every week. And some clients just want to do an awareness play. All three work very well. It's just a matter of what your client prefers and what those KPIs are that we're trying to deliver. And then finally, the week leading up to Christmas, this is obviously the big heavy up where delivery has ended for the Amazons and e-commerce world. Everyone's on the road frantically trying to find presents. And this is one you want to make sure you're in front of drivers the most as well. So when we look at a strategy from a digital point of view, what does it actually mean? Planning it out. Well, at the top, you have always on, which means that you want your branded pins always on the map. No matter what, you should always have your pins showing so people know where your locations are and where your brands are available, right? Next thing we worry about is reaching people with these limited time promotions. This could be Black Friday sales. This could be that brand awareness. And this could be those last minute Christmas deals. And we can talk about strategizing these on a separate call with a client or with you guys for any of your clients as well. When we look at functionality, what are we trying to actually accomplish? The real thing we're trying to accomplish here is, one, brand and location awareness with the pins, but two, also promotional awareness and offer awareness with the takeovers. So people know exactly where your locations are and what you have to offer. And then targeting availability, which we talked about with Taylor. The available segments we can customize based on the objectives, the different geos we can target. So, some strategies will be based around targeting maybe stores that aren't performing as well, or doubling down on stores that are performing very well, targeting different regions of the country, different DMAs, things like that, that a lot of clients see is different when you're talking about brick and mortar locations versus just doing a broad blanket on the internet. So if you're interested in this, what does it look like and how do I do it, right? So obviously you'd be talking to Taylor and myself, and what we would do is we would, one, set up the goals, right? So based off the insights that we find on Waze and during the holidays, we would set up goals for your client. So what are we trying to get, whether that's navigations to the store? Are we trying to get people to visit the website? Are we trying to get just downloads of, an application or an offer? Or are we just trying to get brand awareness out there, right? We just trying to get impressions, let people know that we're around. Whatever the goals are, we'll go back and then we'll look at kind of giving our input as the Waze team. And what does our input look like? Well, the first thing we're going to do is look at the locations and look at how much inventory is available. So what are the impressions availability of the locations of your clients? So if you came to me and said, hey, Justin, I have this client with 30 locations. You give me the addresses. I could go back and I can tell you almost exactly how many impressions are available to those 30 addresses during the months of October, November, and December. So we can give accurate budgets to your clients where they know that they're going to be spending these dollars correctly and effectively on Waze. Finally, once that we have our input, we have an inventory estimate, we give you strategic budget estimates for where we want to put pins, how much money we want to put towards takeovers during our awareness play, how much we want to put towards takeovers during our heavy ups. Then we start looking at building out the campaigns and strategizing how we're going to help reach these goals. So what that looks like is we'll work with you guys and we will actually build the campaigns for you. We'll manage the accounts. We will talk about budget allocations. We'll talk about rolling out the game plans, which dates, which creatives, and then we'll obviously track success and give reporting on that as well. In the end, we'll give a full campaign review to you, and if necessary, we can give it with you to the client. So this is kind of how it looks like from the agency perspective on how you would set it up with Waze. If you're interested with this, obviously, or you have clients that you think would be interested in this for Q4, now is the time to kind of get started. And all it takes is a simple email to intro yourself, and then Taylor and I will set up a phone call with you in the coming weeks. So really quick to give you a few more creative examples, because I know some people wonder, like, oh, what do these actually look like? I'll start with the right because I want to bring this up. We looked at the Gap's brand awareness play during the early stages of October, November, and what they were showing. Hey, come on in for some offers. Well, during the heavy ups, they really doubled down. They upped their budgets and they put this 50% off Me and the Gap coupon on Waze. So this is awesome to say, like, okay, this is what we're talking about with actionable insights. I got a 50% off. I can drive there. And I can get my coupon and redeem my offer. So this is literally driving people to your store locations during those moments of highest intent. When you look at the other two, these are different verticals that I wanted to just point out because we did really go heavy into retail for this presentation, but retail is nowhere near the only vertical that is really successful during Q4. The two other verticals that I would obviously like to point out is one, grocery. We have a lot of big eating holidays. I know myself, Thanksgiving, favorite holiday, single day, favorite holiday. Christmas season is my favorite season. But I love eating turkey, gravy, and all the good stuff and watching football. If you look at the left, this is a Whole Foods holiday ad. And all it says is just a little make delicious memories. Holiday main, sides, and sweets, come on into Whole Foods. Very simple, but yet very effective. The middle one, this is a convenience store, 7-Eleven, and Coke did a collaboration where Coke said, hey, I want to drive people to 7-Elevens. So this is another example. If you have consumer packaged good type clients, we can still drive them to the locations where those goods are sold. And this is what Coke's doing here with 7-Eleven, saying, hey, holiday cheer with a Coca-Cola Slurpee. You wouldn't believe how many people will go into 7-Elevens and get a Coca-Cola Slurpee on the go. It's crazy. They think it's great. They loved it. And it's a huge success. Other, obviously, verticals that work really well that we talked about is QSRs, and then real estate, healthcare, and finally, the last one would be QSR, real estate, healthcare, and
well, so we start building up a lot of gym campaigns during the holiday as well. So you start to get top of mind, so that come January, people are back to the gym and they're over the holidays, then your gym, they've seen your gym ads and they're top of mind, and they know where to sign up.
And let's be real, nobody's using the gym during Q4. So it's just a awareness play till we get ready for Q1 and we do our resolutions.
Awesome. And you can see here like different types of creative, right? Really specific with the promo, but then also just that general branding and awareness. Both work really well for just being top of mind. All right, so know we only have a few minutes left. Thank you everyone for sticking till the end. Appreciate the dedication. Final thing here that we want to cover is just a partner program update. So super excited to talk about the Waze Partners Program. For those who haven't heard about it, on our last Waze Live Summer Edition, we announced that the Partners Program was coming, and we're super excited to share that it's officially live. So for those who don't know, it's really similar to the Google Partners Program. Many of you agencies, I'm sure, have taken AdWords certifications, are Google certified partners, and really we're modeling the same thing on Waze so that we allow agencies to get trained both on Waze as a brand, on our offerings, and then get to that certified level so they can be more knowledgeable to actually talk to their clients and know all of our offerings. And a lot of what we covered today is in the training itself, and then also obviously display to their clients that they are Waze certified. So getting that badge, able to display it on their website, kind of get to that level. And so it's now live, like I mentioned, on the Google Ads Academy. So the same place that you would log in to take any of Google other trainings for other products. It's found right there on the main screen, and there's 2 courses, fundamental courses and an advanced. Both of them take around an hour. And so definitely check it out, log in. It's a really interactive, fun experience as well. There's little quizzes. So it's great. And what does that mean, right? So what does certification mean? And even more so, what does that preferred level of certification mean? This slide gives a snapshot of what the different tier levels entail. So a lot more than a client would be able to get than by just logging up and setting up a campaign by themselves. Kind of that additional insight that our team brings. Premium access to additional ad functionality and creative, and then especially working with our team at that preferred level to have that dedicated kind of account manager who is actually providing trainings, going through these in-depth campaign reviews and pitches and wrap-ups and all of that. And obviously at that preferred level, there's kind of a minimum investment required. And so we'll work with you together to actually get you to that level. We can provide kind of more data on how to get to that level and what that means. But I know there's a lot of information on this slide. It's covered during the fundamentals training as well. So if you take that, you'll be able to spend some more time on this slide. Most importantly, fun swag. For those who weren't here at the beginning, I'm donning a very great Waze sweatshirt, but fun things like that.
Very fashionable.
Very fashionable, that you'll get access to as well. As being part of our Waze partner program. And for those agencies that we already work with, reminder to take this by the end of the month. October 31st is when we'll kind of be reevaluating who our certified partners are, and really kind of tiering out that level of service. So reminder to get online and to take that training. This just kind of gives you, this next slide, final slide, just another look at evaluating where might make sense for you based on your clients and their current spend level and what they're planning to invest. And so if you know, and if you already are spending over that 45K over kind of the quarter period, or you plan on getting there, or the clients that you work with have the opportunity to get there, definitely get online and take the fundamentals and the advanced training. And either way, take the fundamentals. Once you complete that training, our partners team will be reaching out to you with both your badge and then more information, follow up on how we can actually get those campaigns started and work together. So very excited about that. Please get online and take the training. More to come on that. And the program will be evolving as we go. So I mentioned at the beginning that we'll be able to talk with each of you more about specific campaigns or questions that you have. And if you just want to shoot around some ideas and talk about holiday campaigns, please reach out to our Waze Partners alias, the email that you're seeing here. It's really easy for us to get campaigns up and running. So we have a lot of time to plan, but the holidays are coming quickly. So reach out, we can get things set up quickly. And that's about it. Thanks so much again, everyone, for joining today, for all your questions, for being super engaged. It's always a pleasure, and we will chat soon. if not before, on our next version of Waze Live.
All right. And 6 minutes to spare. So
there you go.
there it is.
Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Thanks so much.